Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the debate over pension reform goes back to a downtown courtroom. And there's a new information tonight about the man accused of killing a dozen people in a movie theater a week ago.
I'm Peggy Pico. An independent city auditor claims city officials withheld critical financial information, and that could cost taxpayers money. Plus, we find out what's behind the extraordinary apology from the La Jolla Playhouse. Those stories coming up on tonight's Roundtable.
And as the Olympics get underway in London tonight, we take a look at San Diego's own Olympic connection. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. Supporters of San Diego's pension reform plan will have to wait at least through this weekend to find out if the voter-approved measure will be put on hold. A judge was expected to make a decision today on a temporary restraining order regarding Prop B. It prevents the city from implementing the proposition. Union leaders have been fighting the measure to put most new workers on 401k plans. After hearing today, the judge says he will rule early next week. Court papers show a former San Diego man accused of killing a dozen people in a Colorado movie theater last week was actually being treated by a psychiatrist before the shootings. James Holmes was seeing a psychiatrist at the University of Colorado where he'd been studying neurology. Holmes reportedly sent the doctor a notebook with crude drawings of a mass killing. Defense attorneys say the content of the notebook should be shielded. Formal charges against Holmes are scheduled to be filed on Monday. Legal gun sales could set a record in California this year. The state Justice Department is projecting 725,000 rifles, pistols, and shotguns will be bought this year. That's 100,000 more than a year ago and nearly double the sales from 5 years ago. A lawyer for a gun rights group says sales are spiking because of worries about public safety in a bad economy and worries about possible new restrictions on gun ownership. California is getting more than $23 million in a settlement over prescription drug prices. The money is being paid by McKesson Corporation, a drug wholesaler based in San Francisco. McKesson was accused of inflating the price of prescription drugs like the ones you see listed here. Prosecutors say the prices were bumped up as much as 25%, leading state Medicaid programs to overpay. McKesson also settled with 28 other states. The Sierra Club is suing San Diego County over a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. KPBS business and environment reporter Eric Anderson joins us from the News Center to explain. Eric, it's called the Climate Action Plan. Just what is it?
Well, essentially, the Climate Action Plan is a document that's designed to help the region reduce the production of greenhouse gases. It comes about in part as a result of AB 32, that was California's sweeping greenhouse gas emissions directive, and there was also an executive order signed by then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those documents require municipalities to write a climate action plan when they update their community planning documents. Now, those plans would map out the strategies used to reduce global warming gases.
And San Diego County has done that, right?
Yes, Dwayne. It was actually part of the recent general plan update that sets guidelines for development in the backcountry in those unincorporated areas of San Diego County.
So what's the problem, Eric?
The problem is the local Sierra Club says the county plan really hasn't changed the way the county does business. I spoke with Mike Bullock at the Sierra Club, and he says the county did not come up with an action plan that has guidelines that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. He argues that the county actually established a standard for new developments that would lead to more greenhouse gases being created in the region, not less. He says he's done the math. And he says the most obvious way to lower emissions is to reduce the need for cars, and that is not in the county's plan. He's hoping the lawsuit will encourage county officials to review their plan and revise it.
KPBS business and environment reporter Eric Anderson. A pleasant surprise for commuters crossing the world's busiest border in San Isidro. A big drop in wait times coming north into San Diego. Last weekend, the average wait was 40 minutes, far less than the 3-hour waits people had to deal with recently. The improvement was due to a break in an ongoing construction project and the temporary opening of more lanes and inspection booths. Construction is scheduled to continue until 2014. Does California have more money tucked away in special funds? The Department of Finance is looking into it and plans to release its findings next week. The director of the State Parks Department stepped down earlier after a $54 million surplus was discovered. An independent San Diego auditor says he can't do his job because city officials are withholding financial information. Peggy Pico has more on how this could affect you.
Eduardo Luna is an independent city auditor hired by the city to improve financial controls, but he recently told the city council that some departments are interfering with his work, which ultimately prevents him from protecting taxpayers. UT San Diego watchdog reporter Matt Clark has done several stories on the issue. And Matt, why does this matter to anyone other than Luna and, let's say, the departments that he's auditing?
Well, Luna's audits are very important. You know, they're uncovering, weaknesses in the city that, could lead to serious waste of taxpayer money, and he's trying to improve efficiencies. But he's also releasing some audits that have some really startling findings that maybe that oftentimes city officials don't want to have out in the public. I think, that it's certainly a concerning process for them. And there's been this pushback, sort of some obstruction, according to Luna, preventing him from doing that in protecting the taxpayers.
Yeah, what were some of his major complaints? There was some pushback, just kind of bullet point through some of his major complaints.
Sure. On one of the most recent audits, one of his auditors had they basically booted him out of the computer system that he was auditing. At the end of that audit, when the draft audit report was ready and Luna presented it to the department head to try and see if there were any errors in it, correct any inaccuracies, and get it further along so that the audit produces something useful, the department head, according to Luna, and the department head denies this, said, I'm not going to respond to that. You go ahead and release your report. I'm done spending time on this, and if there's any errors in it, we're going to point them out after you release it.
A little fight back there. One of the departments in this report is the building permits, right? The development services. What did he find there?
Right, that's the audit I was just referring to. He found that their computer system has security control weaknesses that sort of could allow fraud to occur. He also found that 1 out of every 5 of the billings for building permits that folks might go if they're renovating their home, the billings are inaccurate. That they have undercharges as low as, I think it was $34,000, and overcharges as much as $345,000.
Wow, that's a wide range. How would that impact, let's say, a taxpayer, average person? Would we ultimately feel the brunt of that?
Right. Well, if you went to development services and you did a permit transaction with them, what the audit suggests is that a lot of those permit transactions have errors in them. So certainly you should be checking your bill as you always should anywhere.
Right. Absolutely. Now, you wrote that Carl DeMaio basically told the auditor to tone down his work with the department heads, his comments. What was that about? Right.
DeMaio and I think to a certain extent other audit committee members are concerned about this audit. All this disagreement. There was the department head just basically said, I disagree with the majority of your recommendations and findings, and they don't want to see that go on in the future. They don't want to see future performance audits having that kind of disagreement. So what DeMaio was saying is, look, in order to do what the taxpayers want, you need to get along with people. That has to occur.
But if getting along with people means, skewing the information or not having all the information, that could not be good. I'm saying that because this report was actually tabled. Tell us what that means.
Well, they tabled the report. The audit committee tabled the report. Normally, they forward it on to council, but they tabled it because there's so much disagreement. They don't have the information they need in order to determine how the audit should move forward and how those recommendations that were put into that audit should move forward.
Is this an issue of just some internal drama? Luna's being accused of being overly aggressive. The departments are being accused of being secretive. Is it a he said, she said, or is it kind of not revealing what people want to know?
Well, so far, I guess we have to see what happens at the audit committee, the next audit committee meeting. That if they're able to, if the Development Services Department and Luna are able to get along and come up with some recommendations and get some things moving on this audit, well then, we've moved forward, and hopefully future performance audits won't have this kind of an issue.
We'll be following it. Matt Clark, thanks so much for being here.
The Summer Olympics are underway in London. About 90 of the athletes got their training here. The Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista opened 17 years ago. It's about a 20-minute drive south from downtown San Diego.
Golf
Golf carts are the main mode of transportation at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista. It's actually the size of a typical golf course, about 155 acres. Thousands of Olympic and Paralympic hopefuls have trained here since it opened in the summer of 1995.
The training that I've been getting here at the training center is the best in the world. So having the best training in the world will make me the best in the world.
Blake Leeper is from Kingsport, Tennessee. At 22, he's been overcoming the odds most of his life. Born with a congenital birth defect, his lower limbs never develop below the knees. His motto for life? Find the ability in your disability.
The doctors told my father that I would never walk, I would never run, I would never play sports, I would be in a wheelchair all my life.
Leeper never took no for an answer, and as a double-leg amputee already holds the U.S. Paralympic records in the 100 and 200 meter sprints.
The energy return on the legs are amazing. I gain energy as I run and as my race prolongs. So there's some good and some bad to the situation, but the fact that I'm out here just running is a blessing for me.
San Diego's warm weather makes this year-round training site perfect for almost any Olympic sport. Kayakers and rowers train on Otay Lake Reservoir right next to the facility. And participants in the newest Olympic event, BMX dirt bike racing, train exclusively here for the London Games.
It's kind of like the BMX mecca of the U.S.
21-year-old Amanda Carr is from Punta Gorda, Florida. She started racing at age 5.
When it comes to the race, there's 8 in the gate at once, and there's no lanes. So it's who's going to get from the gate to the finish line first.
BMX initially got its start in California in the 1970s when teenagers would imitate their motocross heroes doing tricks and stunts on their dirt bikes. Is this more of a mental game or a physical game?
I would say, obviously the physical component needs to be there, but at this level, all of us are physically fit to win a race. I believe it comes down to mentals.
The athletes that train here are not the big professionals that you see. That's why they need a training center. They're not making huge salaries. They're not the professional basketball players. These guys that do it because they have a passion for sport.
Tracy Lamb is director of the Olympic Training Center. It's run on public and private donations of about $7 million a year. He says despite the sluggish economy, business is good.
We're the only country in the world that funds its Olympic program through private donations of the American people. And it's a tough way to do business, but I think it's a great way to do business.
This sprawling complex hosts sports ranging from tennis and soccer to archery and women's field hockey. But take a tour and you'll notice only 50% of the facility is being used. Lamb says it's by design.
So we don't know what sport's going to be in the future, so we have some potential for growth. The athletes are here to reach their full potential, and we're still striving as a training center here in Chula Vista to still have growth.
The archery, soccer, and women's field hockey teams have qualified for London, along with 19 members from track and field, including Paralympic sprinter Blake Leeper.
So right now I'm the top dog in the U.S., but I'm ranked 2nd in the world in my events, and there's just one particular guy, he's really good.
That would be Oscar Pistorius from South Africa, the first double-leg amputee to qualify for both the Olympic and Paralympic Games.
So he'll have some hype going into it. I raced him a couple times. He's beaten me, yes. But I know that the training that I've been getting here at the training center is the best in the world. And come the Paralympic Games, I'm gonna be ready for him. So he better be ready for me.
Unfortunately, BMX racer Amanda Carr didn't qualify during the Olympic trials. The opening ceremonies will be broadcast tonight at 7:30, and the Paralympics began 2 weeks after the close of the Olympic Games in London. The La Jolla Playhouse issued a highly unusual public apology this week for its casting of the musical Nightingale. Peggy is talking about that at the roundtable.
Earlier this week, the creative team behind the play The Nightingale issued a public apology for casting just 2 Asian actors out of a dozen roles in a musical that is set in ancient China. Here to talk more about the issue and apology is KPBS arts reporter Angela Carone. Angela, set the stage for us here. What is this musical all about?
Well, the musical is set in what the creators say is a mythological version of ancient China. It's based on a Hans Christian Andersen story. You might remember him. He's a noted children's author. And it's about an Asian emperor who is sort of sequestered, living within imperial walls, and longs to see the rest of his kingdom. And the Song of a Nightingale illuminates that for him. And along the way, of course, he falls in love with a peasant girl. And so the play is loosely based on the Hans Christian Andersen story, but it tries to create the kind of fable-like qualities of that.
But it's fully set in what should be ancient China.
Well, that's the real matter of contention as far as the creative team is concerned. Their vision, as they outlined it at the forum on Sunday, is that this was supposed to be a mythological place. It's actually not supposed to be, it's neither east nor west or set in a certain time. It's a mythological land that has a multicultural cast.
When did the casting issues come up, and how did they come about?
So what happened was, there are 12 roles. 2 of them were only Asian Americans. The rest there's like 5 white, a couple of African Americans. There was a blog post written by an Asian American actress that kind of sparked the debate, and then it really took off online. And the Playhouse then decided to set up this forum to address the issue. And I should say, too, that this is a workshop production of this musical. So this is not the finite end product of this musical. It's in a workshop state, and it's part of the Jolla Playhouse's page-to-stage program.
Okay, and so the artistic director at the Jolla Playhouse, Christopher Ashley, and his creative team actually on Sunday at that forum issued an apology, right? And there were a lot of Asian community members that were in the audience that basically expressed frustration and hurt. And let's hear from one of them right now.
To see this production, which clearly to me, kudos to your design team, looks like it was set in China, with so few Asian American faces, reminds me how invisible we still are.
Very upset, a lot of emotions. Nightingale's director, he also offered an apology. What did he say?
So Moises Kaufman is the director, and he tried to explain what the vision for the show was. And he basically said, we owe you all an apology because we did not realize our vision of the show, which was this mystical landscape with a multi-ethnic cast. And the multi-ethnic cast is key to that. They didn't want to signal that this was ancient China. They wanted to signal that this is a place where a young white emperor could have an African-American mother, basically.
But multicultural casting is very popular right now. What was the problem here?
It is very popular, or it's used for, it's the reason why multicultural casting was even created was to create more opportunity for minority actors to find roles. It's been around long enough that it's used in all kinds of different ways. There's a multi-ethnic cast doing A Streetcar Named Desire right now on Broadway, African Americans in the lead roles. So the problem here, as certainly is expressed by a number of people at the forum, is that multicultural casting was never created to give opportunities for a white actor to play a culturally specific role.
Right. We just saw a quote from one of the people in the audience who said it wasn't intended to have 5 white people in a role that should be represented by someone else. Stephen Slater, the playwright, he said that he still stands by the multicultural casting. In an earlier workshop, he had all Asians, but changed it. Why did he?
Right. He talked, now at the forum, he talked about the former all-white, or all-Asian cast, and he said, that didn't work for him in his vision of a fantastical, mythical world with a multi-ethnic cast, a multi-ethnicity that reflected the world that he lived in. So he stands by his vision. I think that he said throughout the forum that he was learning so much, that this was an education for him hearing all of this. I don't know where the creative team is today on this. I think that, you know, they heard what was being said, and I would imagine that future productions, again, this is a workshop production, but I would imagine future productions of The Nightingale will take into consideration very closely what they heard at that forum on Sunday.
I'll bet you they will. They had a big impact. Angela Carone, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thanks, Peggy.
The popularity of mobile food trucks in San Diego has taken another turn, and a new one-of-a-kind service offering hot, healthy meals for under $4 recently took to the downtown streets.
Are you hungry, Mr. Cameraman? Hey, 2 burritos. Chicken and steak is silver.
From the inside, it looks like any other mobile eatery on wheels, but take a closer look, and you'll notice every fresh entree costs $3.50 or less, and it's cooked to order. Even the beverages are inexpensive. $1 for vitamin water, 50 cents for juice, and $0.25 for bottled water.
So it's going to be $3.75, all right?
$3.75.
Burger and fries?
Yeah.
Alex Johnson takes the food orders while also helping customers sign up for the Cow Fresh card.
Upgrade both of those to fries, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Formerly known as food stamps.
Print and sign your name for me, right here. Print and sign. Burgers?
Yep.
Nice, nice, nice.
Johnson is actually wrapping up his summer internship with the nonprofit group Dreams for Change.
I just feel like a better person just by doing this, you know, just by giving back to the people, talking to other people that have been through struggles that I've never witnessed or that never occurred to me, and I honestly don't know how some people do it.
That's what makes the Fresh truck so unusual. Its primary customers are homeless people who have the lowest participation rate or access to the Cow Fresh program.
You don't have to have an address. The only thing you have to have is a picture ID. And it does not have to be a California ID. It could be their shelter card. As long as it has their picture and their name on it, that will work to obtain those benefits.
Teresa Smith is a graduate student from the University of San Diego and won this year's grand prize in the Social Innovation Challenge, $10,000 to help launch the food truck.
It met all the criteria. It's innovative. We're the only ones in the country. It's for a social cause. We're working with the homeless individuals, and it's long-term self-sustainable.
Catherine Vargas went from homeless to working on the food truck.
We can provide the service for everybody. You don't have to be homeless. You don't have to have an EBT card, but you can get fresh food, hot food, some fruit, salad, and it's all good for you.
And at a very reasonable price.
At a very reasonable price, and that's our target. We want to make it affordable, fresh, and for everyone.
Being a nonprofit, our goal is to really bring everything back into the community, and so part of the truck is a workforce development. So as we bring on and start making that profit, our goal is to hire the homeless individuals to really operate the truck and to take it over. So my, staff and volunteers can step out and it becomes their project, their business.
Smith says after 6 weeks in business, they're about to break even on their investment. It cost about $30,000 to purchase the truck and supplies. They got extra funds from several community groups. The Fresh truck operates weekdays in the downtown area.
In tonight's Public Square, it may surprise you that Southern California has one of the nation's highest concentration of hate groups in the country. Adrian Florido of our Fronteras desk reported earlier this week, San Diego detectives have partnered with the Anti-Defamation League to solve hate crimes by tracking hate symbols. Linking hate symbols like these is critical in proving bias to convict a suspect, said Ellen Vest, the detective interviewed in the story. Some symbols, she said, are obvious, like a swastika, but hate symbol tattoos and even posters in a suspect's home can prove a point to the court. The story sparked quite a discussion on our website. De La Rick summed it up like this: the danger with bigoted thinking is that it manifests itself in the form of random attacks and violence. I condemn violence in general, especially when it's the result of differences in physical appearance, sexual orientation, or opinions. Peace. You can comment on this story or any other seen here on KPBS on Twitter, Facebook, or email us at publicsquare@kpbs.org.
Recapping tonight's top stories, supporters of San Diego's pension reform plan will have to wait through at least the weekend to find out whether the voter-approved measure will be put on hold. A judge was expected to rule today on a temporary restraining order preventing the city from moving ahead with Prop B. Union leaders have been fighting the plan to put most new city workers on 401k plans. After hearing, the judge says he will rule early next week. Court papers show a former San Diego man accused of killing 12 people in a Colorado movie theater last week was being treated by a psychiatrist before the shootings. James Holmes was seeing a psychiatrist at the University of Colorado where he'd been studying neurology. Holmes reportedly sent the doctor a note book with crude drawings of a mass killing. Defense attorneys say the content of that notebook should be shielded. Formal charges against Holmes are scheduled on Monday. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great weekend.